What is up, guys? My name is Theo, and today we are talking about the Fujifilm X-T20 with that 16-50 kit lens, because nobody really talks about this combo. People only care about that 18-55 kit lens. So, is this all the camera you need? So when it comes to the good news and bad news, people generally want to hear the bad news first so they can end on the good. So that's what I'm going to do with this camera. So when it comes to the bad, there's three main problems that I have with the camera. Two are kind of minor that I can live with, but they kind of add up into one big one. And the third is kind of a big deal that could be a deal breaker for some. So the first thing is that the SD card slot is in the battery compartment, which is kind of annoying, but something I can live with. The second is that the tripod mount doesn't align perfectly along with the lens, which could be a problem for you if you're a big panoramic shooter, but the reason why that's a big problem, which kind of adds on to that first problem, if you throw a tripod mount on this camera, then you end up blocking that door, which you can't reach your battery or your SD card slot without taking that tripod mount off. So again, super annoying, but something that I can live with, which ends up forcing you to get a grip for your camera, which if you haven't seen my video on this grip, I would put a link in the description for you, but it is the Mikey MK X-T20G. And the third thing is that this camera is not weather sealed. Again, for some, that can be a huge deal breaker. For me, it kind of was. I'm learning to deal with it. But again, it would be super nice if this camera was weather sealed. I took it out to Mexico, went down to the beach, and ended up hiding this camera under my shirt because the wind started blowing and then mist over here, sand blowing this way, and it was just a mess. So I didn't really get to take that many pictures because it was hiding under my shirt the whole time. Now on to the good. Now there's plenty for me to talk about when it comes to good with this camera. The first being is that the size of this whole system is so small, so life-changing, really. I cannot believe the quality you're getting in such a small form factor. It's mind-blowing, really. Biggest reason why I love it is when it comes to travel. With the few lenses that I do have, I don't even notice that there's a camera system in my bag. That's how light it is, and I absolutely love it. The second thing is the interface for the camera. I absolutely love the dials. The menu system is super easy to use. I have no problems finding my way through anything in this menu system, which I absolutely love. Which leads me to the third thing, and that is the customization you have with this camera. It is honestly game-changing. You have control over just about every button on this camera. Everything from the quick menu settings to the D-pad to everything. You can remap everything, which is a big deal if you're coming from another system. You can get the layout pretty close to what you were already used to. This way you don't have to waste time figuring out a new system. You can just customize everything the way you want it and then just start shooting. The next thing is the image quality you're getting with these cameras is honestly, it's impressive to say the least. I'm absolutely loving the image quality I'm getting from these. It has completely changed my workflow, really. When it comes to just like hobby work, shots for my personal use, I'm shooting straight JPEG, which is kind of the opposite of the way I was taught photography. I was always taught you want to shoot raw, you have complete control of everything you're shooting, but the quality you're getting out of these JPEGs is almost impossible to duplicate in, say, Lightroom or editing program. So I'm absolutely loving shooting JPEG with these cameras. So keeping it on image quality, the film simulations on these cameras, or the Fuji system in general, is honestly, I'm running out of words to use to describe these cameras. It's amazing. The amount of control you have with them to just change the color profile completely to give yourself a whole nother look is amazing, and I'm absolutely loving that as well. I find myself always coming back to the Astia profile. I absolutely love that one. That's like by far my favorite. With classic chrome coming at a close second, I absolutely love those two. The black and white profile, across, is also incredible as well. Especially if you're shooting video, that black and white in video is honestly stunning. It can give you a really unique look, which is amazing as well. Segue, when it comes to video, that's where I feel this camera is completely underrated. The quality you can get out of this camera when it comes to video is pretty amazing, especially considering how small the form factor is and how cheap the camera is. You're getting 4K, 30 frames, you're getting 60 frames at 1080 for that slow motion, so you have some versatility when it comes to frame rates with this camera. And by far the best feature when it comes to video with this camera, which sets it apart from all the other cameras, is being able to shoot video in those film simulations, which is huge, especially if you're on a low budget. If you're not using these professional editing programs, if you don't have as much control over color, then that is going to be a huge help for for you, and also saving you work in post if you are using those programs. Being able to have that ability is just huge. It's game changing for me, at least. That whole concept is why I feel like this camera should be highly considered if you are looking for a camera to shoot primarily video. And now on to the lens. This 16-50 kit lens I feel like is underrated. People completely ignore this lens, don't want to have anything to do with it. This combo gets left up on shelves because nobody wants to waste their money on a plastic lens. But I feel like, again, it's underrated. It has definitely done itself justice, for me at least. Yes, when it comes to construction, this whole lens is made of plastic. It doesn't have the smoothest zoom, but it is worth considering. It does have its pros in comparison to the 18-55. First thing is that it is a lot lighter. Being completely made of plastic, it is way lighter when it comes to just walking around and running and gunning and shooting. When it comes to sharpness, it's plenty sharp. You're getting a little softer on the edges, but still, I have gotten plenty of great shots with this lens that I have no complaints about. The second great thing is that you're getting a little bit wider of a focal length with this lens, which you wouldn't necessarily think is that big of a deal, but it does make a difference. I have gone back and forth between the 18-55 and this lens does shoot a little bit wider, which can make a difference. On a crop sensor, that difference is a lot more noticeable than, say, if you were shooting on a full frame camera. And I have shot everything up until recently with this lens. I only recently picked up a used 18-55, but everything on my channel prior to this video has been shot with this lens. I will say, definitely when it comes to video, the OIS is not as good as that 18-55. It's there, but definitely doesn't compare to that 18-55. So, is this camera worth it? Is it worth getting this combo? And I say yes. If you're looking for your first camera and you're just getting into photography and you're also thinking about video, this is your camera. And I know some will say that you're super limited with this lens in comparison to that 18-55, but to be honest, overcoming those limitations is a big part of learning photography, and it forces you to get creative and to try new things. But besides being new to photography, if you're looking to get into the Fuji system and you're coming from another camera like, say, a Nikon 3000 series or a Canon Rebel series, then definitely this is your camera. And if you're coming from one of those cameras, then you should already know how to use a lens like this. Well, with all that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and you were feeling like being amazing, then please hit that like button. With the X-T20 being my main camera for the channel, I wanted to put a video like this together for those people who are interested in the camera, so they can really see what the camera can offer, especially when it comes to video. And let me know down in the comments below if any of you guys already have the X-T20. I'd love to know what you guys think of it. And if you'd like to see more of what this camera can do, then please consider subscribing. I post once a week either about this camera or what I've shot with it. And also, if you're willing to help me out on my adventure when it comes to learning photography and video, then definitely please comment below and let me know anything that I can improve on or any tips you guys have for me. It would be much appreciated. Well, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.